Great. Welcome to our Cornerstone Live event, Israel versus the Coronavirus. I'm Jody Graber. I'm the Senior Director of Philanthropy for the Jewish Federation in San Diego County. And we really are grateful to all of you for being with us today. We began these Cornerstone conversations with our one and only live event in November 2019 and want to continue to provide our most loyal supporters with an opportunity to feel informed and proud of their investment in our work. So just a few housekeeping items before we get started. We will be recording the program today to share with those that are not able to attend. Please mute yourselves and turn on your camera if possible. Feel free to write in the chat throughout this morning's program. We will have an opportunity for Q&A at the end, but do feel free to type in the chat. And today you will hear more about the Jewish Agency for Israel's J-Ready program and how they've responded to the pandemic. But before you do, it's my honor to introduce you to our partner region, Shar HaNegev's mayor, Ophir Libstein, who will share a few words. Ophir, thanks for being here and your leadership during these uncertain times. So Ophir, if you'd say a few words for us.
Yeah, good morning, San Diego. Good morning, everyone, all our friends and family in San Diego. Good morning, Bougie. It's good evening for Bougie. And we have a lot of friends I can see here in the picture. It's amazing. Here in Israel, I just back from Lag BaOmer party. You know, it's a holiday here today in Israel, the Lag BaOmer. And I want to say thank you, you know, for the partnership between Shar HaNegev and San Diego. It's amazing partnership for many, many years. And I want to say thank you, you know, we will talk later about the COVID-19, but I want to say thank you for your help when we need your help with the special kids and special needs for the kids. And it's amazing. And just a big hug for everyone. And Michael and everyone here. And remember, don't forget, Shar HaNegev, it's your home away from home. And we are waiting for you here in Shar HaNegev. Then thank you very much.
Thanks, Ophir. We so appreciate that. Thank you. Ophir, we want to now hear from Chairman Herzog of the Jewish Agency for Israel. Chairman Herzog, if you'd say a few words.
Yes, I hope you hear me because I didn't hear you at the end. You do hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so hi everybody. It's a great honor and pleasure to speak to one of the most important federations and communities around the world, vibrant, successful, energetic, and generous. And we're very proud of the partnership between San Diego County Federation and the Jewish Agency, and of course in the partnership which our good friend Ophir Libstein just mentioned so eloquently with the Federation, which is a thriving and successful federation and partnership. So thank you all. Thank you, David Bramson, and of course, our good friend and loved friend, Michael Jesser, who we wish you speedy recovery as soon as possible. Had you been in Israel, Professor Ronni Gamzu would have taken care of you personally. And now to say a few words about the event of today. So as part of our initiative to stretch our hand to communities all over the world, being the biggest Jewish organization in the world, we at the Jewish Agency came forward with a few tools that literally saved communities all over the world who were in distress. And as part of our efforts, we came to the idea of forming this incredible platform, which is called J-Ready, because you see, we are experts in emergency situations all over the world through our Security Assistance Fund and through our fund to help victims of terror, and as well as emergency situations in Israel and other Jewish communities. So this platform, J-Ready, which is led by former member of the Knesset, Ayelet Nachmias Verbin, who's with us tonight, as well as Yael Raz of the Jewish Agency. This platform is supplying services and know-how and knowledge from the Israeli sphere of knowledge to friends and partners and communities all over the world in an immensely successful way. So in the next hour, you'll have a deliberation conversation with the person who deserves the major credit for the success of Israel in COVID. That's Professor Ronni Gamzu. Professor Ronni Gamzu is the CEO for many years already of the Tel Aviv Medical Center. I had the pleasure, I didn't want to, but I had the pleasure of being treated in his hospital. He's one of the best and one of the most impressive human beings I know. And he was selected by Prime Minister Netanyahu to be the Tsar to deal with COVID until recently. And a lot of the success you see is, again, is his credit. So together with Ayelet Nachmias Verbin, who's an outstanding public leader in Israel, and Professor Gamzu, we will have a wonderful event. And I hope that your community, your federation, and your supporters and friends and allies will enjoy the know-how that will be, of course, broadcasted here very, very soon. So that to all of you, and hope to see you damn soon in Israel. Samantha is waiting. Toda rabah and all the best.
Thank you.
Bavakasha Bougie. So thank you. We want to now turn it over to Ayelet. Ayelet, would you be so kind as to share more about the J-Ready initiative and introduce yourself and also Professor Gamzu? Thanks so much to both of you for being with us today.
Thank you, Jody, and thank you, Michael, for being with us tonight. Thank you to the Jewish Federation of San Diego. This is really a unique opportunity to be with you tonight. I'm very, very happy to say that in spite of the fact that we have gone through this terrible ordeal of a crisis this past year, the Jewish Agency, alongside the wonderful Federation of San Diego, as well as other federations, under the leadership of Bougie Herzog and Amira Aronovich, the CEO, has looked at it as an opportunity to really find a relationship between communities around the world, which is, it's kind of difficult when we, unfortunately, say goodbye to our loved ones in a pandemic. It's a little bit difficult to speak about it as an opportunity, but we literally didn't have a choice. And this is the idea that underlies the concept of J-Ready. We realized that we need a new network. It's not just the regular network that we were used to have. We need a network of know-how in crisis situation, in resilient situation. We just had my very good friend Ophir Lipstein on with us. Resilience is an issue that most of the time, we're used to deal in the Gaza perimeter. But nowadays, everybody knows that the communities need new tools for resilience and emergency crisis management. The wonderful thing about J-Ready, especially in the past few months, is that we can actually see so many communities around the world using this platform, the digital platform, as well as the fantastic people that I have the privilege of working with, Yael Raz and Samantha Robinson. We truly see that the communities around the world both use the new technologies that we bring along, the seminars that we hold for resilience, and even special designed courses for crisis management in the communities. What we see forward in our vision is that we would have information funneled into J-Ready from all around the world. We can already see partners from communities that you wouldn't have believed a year ago, from Australia. JFNA is a very, very important partner of ours, Great Britain, and other countries around the world. So we have the pleasure in this situation, and again, it's difficult to use the word pleasure, but it is very, very important for us to be with the communities around the world, even though we can't be with each other. And I truly hope that we will be able to be with each other very, very soon. We do feel that we are together. Israel arevim ze laze. And this is truly, truly, truly what's above us and underlies the idea of J-Ready. So without further ado, I'm sitting next to Professor Ronni Gamzu. But before we start off with you, we need to see the beautiful movie about the Suraski Medical Center.
getting excited all the time when I see that.
I understand that.
Yeah.
First of all, I would like to say we have Ronni Gamzu with us, a leading professional for many, many years, by the way. Unfortunately, COVID has it that you're a celebrity now in Israel.
Yeah, thank you for the introductory remarks.
Empowering youth to give back. Well, that's also important. Sorry about that. Everybody needs to remind us of something at one point. The one thing that I want to say is that, first of all, thank you for making the time to be with us here in
It's my
JReady
privilege, really.
and San Diego. This is the fantastic thing about JReady, that everybody finds the time to do something for our communities around the world.
Yeah.
So thank you. And you're such a busy person. So thank you. I think it's most natural to start off with the fact that you were a Corona Tsar, but you also run a very, very major medical center here in Israel. Can you tell us a little bit about your year? I mean, the pivotal moments.
You know, the year is the hallmark of the year is leading. I understood in February that the role is not just treating Corona patients, is leading the country, is leading the challenge. We are in a crisis, a healthcare crisis. People are afraid, anxiety all over, frightening numbers all around the world. Healthcare collapsing in many countries in Europe, in China. And we have to show our resilience. And we cannot count, on the government, on other leaders. We, as the healthcare leaders, managers of hospital, this is the time that we are tested, not only for our organization, but for an entire nation. The people of Israel look at us. If we will show that we have the power, that we have the ability, then they will feel the support. This is what made me tick all around this year. Ronni, you have to lead. You are a leading hospital. This is your test. This is the time that you have to show the people of Israel, of course, your organization, the physicians, the nurses, everybody, but lead. Show the strength of Israel in the healthcare system.
Fantastic. I mean, using the word leadership comes to mind when you're running such a crisis. But what role does a major medical center such as the Suraski Medical Center has in such a pandemic? How do you play managing? I mean, how do you manage such a global pandemic?
First you have to understand that you have the strength, you have the best physicians, you have the best nurses. Healthcare system in Israel, hospitals in Israel are very technological. You have the best physician, nurses all over the world. You have to really believe and trust them. And this is the role. You have to make sure that you do not only provide medical services. You will be able to give the best healthcare, the best healthcare services, and to show that make your people, the physician and the nurse, gain confidence, because they were really afraid at the first. They didn't have all the protective measures. Corona department were not built. The numbers, were very frightening. But I understood that our role is gaining confidence, building the trust, and making sure that we will give the best treatment. And this is what we have done all along the year. Of course, thanks to the trust of the Israeli people and to our staff.
I want to share something with our friends inside San Diego. I just recalled before we came into this meeting that you were the first hospital in the world to allow relatives to part from their loved ones in the hospital, to come and say goodbye, wearing all the protective measures.
For me, it was obvious. It was in the middle of March, and we had the first case that is the one that is going to die. And then we approached the issue, how do you say goodbye? How the family is going to say goodbye to their beloved ones. And I understood they are going to do that in between windows, through digital, through cameras. And I was saying, why is that? Why don't we let them, the protective measure, the mask, and the suits and everything, and let them in? My spokesman said the same, and we said, okay, let's do that. We do not have a regulation that prevents us to do so. Leading is taking the right steps ahead. You do not say, but nobody is doing that. All around the world, leading. Be yourself. Do not lose empathy in such a challenge. Be the physician that you were taught to be. And this was embraced by our physicians and nurses. And then again, hospitals in Israel, hospitals around the world, people were saying, okay, corona, yes. But there is an ethical, issues that we have still to stick to. This is what we've done.
Absolutely. I remember myself hearing that and I was saying, oh my God, thank God someone thought of that.
Ayel, at the same issue, more or less at the same time, April, I was asked to lead the father and mother shield, which is taking care of the nursing homes in Israel.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, still they didn't let families visiting. And I was saying, yes, again, look, they are almost a month alone. Okay, corona, okay, but I have the protective measures. I can do that. I can, set them apart 2 meters, but I can let them meet with their eyes. Let them do that. I had the power at that time because I was running the nursing home. I let them do that. And the result, and the reaction was again intense. This is what we have to do. Crises, we have to feel the people. This corona is a crisis of the microenvironment, of the families, of the individual, and you have to feel them.
What you did in the nursing homes actually is the purpose of J-Ready. It's the idea of having those best practices that you made sure that are available and put it on to be available to all the communities around the world. And again, probably best practices around the world in communities as well for schools, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The interesting thing is that while we were going on and preparing for the vaccine, Professor Nadir Alber of the medical center and also a good friend was able to develop some kind of what seems to be a treatment for COVID.
Our line, our purpose was not only treating. I was saying to my physician, you will get the best treatment in the world. Physician, ICU, anesthesiologist, the best nurses, but please reinvent medicine. You are the best scientists. You are the startup nation. Do not adhere to what is obvious. Don't do the common. Think outside of the box. You can reinvent medicine. You can look for the next antiviral drugs. This is what we have done here with some kind of a medication that is going through testing nowadays, that is balancing the immune response to corona, because corona kills. But what kills through corona is the immune system. The intense, extreme immune system response, and we are balancing it with this drug.
The amazing thing is that parallel to running the medical center, you agreed to the Prime Minister's request and the Minister of Health to be the Corona Tsar, as Buji mentioned. What kind of challenges have you faced? I mean, Israel is very, very versatile. This is not, we're very heterogeneous.
First, it was through the second wave, and it was the first, second waves all around the world. Israel was facing, and the second wave started here, not elsewhere, nothing, no other place in the world. And then, the mood in Israel was depressed. Like we have done something wrong, and the trust was broken in between, communities, people, citizens of Israel, and the government, and even the healthcare professionals, the opinion leaders. So they were looking for a person that can build the trust. The task is not only to give the professional recommendation, but building the trust, negotiating with the public, embracing them, looking at them, understanding, feeling them. And I understood the huge challenge because the strategy was not built 100%. The infrastructure was not built 100%. The operationals were not as good as I wanted it to be. It was the Ministry of Health, IDF should have entered. And don't ask me why, but the IDF
We're not talking about politics tonight.
entered only when I stepped in, because in one day I called the defense minister, Ronni Gamzu, asked him to enter and take the lead. the Home Defense Command, this is your task. It's an operational task. Let's run the entire cities, the entire communities of Israel. We can do the job because we have the best, operational body in the world, which is the IDF. And we can do, and there was strategy, there was traffic light strategy, never mind that, but many things, to put ahead.
But the traffic light, eventually, the traffic light strategy that you actually came up with was, again, even if it wasn't implemented at that particular time, but it was implemented later on because everybody
not only in Israel,
not only around the world.
If you will look the entire Europe, many countries look at traffic because it makes sense. Why? Because Corona is an epidemic. You have a red place here and a green one there. It's dynamic. Then you have many cases here because there was some kind of behavior or some kind of dynamic in specific community in specific place. In another place, it's getting better. So you do not do average. You do not restrict on the average. You look, you measure, you monitor, and you adjust restrictions. Because once you do restriction, you make people sacrifice their earning, their way of living, their freedom, meeting their families. Do not do average. Gradually, they came about it. They understood the logic. It took time.
Yeah, it took time, as everything else does. One of the things that I look nowadays, we're able to kind of a little bit reflect. Thank God in America, things are also looking on the upward.
Looking better.
Thank God, really. Yeah. And thank God for everybody who's going to get vaccinated in America as well, because it's very important to the whole world. But the one thing that now you have kind of a reflection on the past, but you can also look to the future. And you spoke about reinventing medicine. What would you probably speak to your peers around the world. I know that today you spoke with Germany. How do you look at medicine strategy in the future?
I knew it before the Corona, but Corona made it more clear to everybody. We have a gap in our technological ability, vision to what we are doing now. Even identifying Corona, diagnosing Corona takes hours. We should do that in minutes. We should do that, in seconds. Technology in the world is booming. We have to embrace it into the healthcare system, into the hospital. You know what a hospital is? Is a hub, a meeting place for the physician, the patient, the data, with the best brains, the startup culture, the industry, the academic, all around. If we will gather all in and put, the unmet need and put the challenge, we will meet the challenge. This is my vision for the Tel Aviv Medical Center. This is my vision to every hospital in the world. And for the leading hospitals in the world, we can crack many of our challenges. We can do that. Corona taught us a lesson. We have to invest more. We have to put more challenges on the table and solve them. And we can do that in order to give better, quality of life and better capability to treat diseases from the genomic level to the molecular level to the cell level. Not only giving drugs, even biological drugs. We can reinvent medicine. This is my message now. This is my vision in this hospital, and I'm going like that. Implementing that
through walls.
And my physicians are proud of that. They understand now that they are in the center not only of the industry but the opinion, the public opinion. Public opinion understand now we have to put more resources, more emphasis, and we will achieve better solution to our current diseases.
I can actually vouch for what you're doing in the medical center, because in my other role, I'm a vice president of the Association of the Manufacturers in Israel. And it was amazing to see that now we have very, very quick tests, and you can actually really live life normally in events and even in the workplace. And it's amazing. This is something that you also did.
Just do bioconvergence, just reconnect, sciences, any sciences, computer sciences, physics. You do that with biology, you put medical into that and data. you will gain a huge improvement. The capability mainly in a place like Israel, startup nation, Tel Aviv, the dynamic is huge. And you know what? Post-corona, not only in Israel, post-corona in the States, in UK, there will be a huge wave of innovation and trying to go ahead and boom the way that we do medicine, not only medicine, but this is my focus now. And I believe that we can do that. I will need a lot of backing and a lot of and many people that will trust this vision. I see that, you know, the Israeli healthcare system, hospitals, not only hospitals, but the entire Israeli healthcare system enjoys credit.
Yes.
People understand it's not like a public healthcare system. It's a powerful healthcare system with many great minds, excellent people, and you know the vision with that can create incredible things.
It's definitely not trivial. It's far from being trivial. I have to disclose something to our friends, yes, because Ronni is a very, very active father. To Anouk, who's 5 years old now, 5 years old, an amazing, amazing little girl. We see each other sometimes in the in the mall. But it's amazing because I would never have imagined that I would be able to ask someone as busy as yourself something that women are always asked.
Yeah.
How do you do it, Ronni? How do you do it on a personal level? How do you do it? How do you manage it all?
It's my, I dare to say that it is my number one priority. My number one priority is to give my child the time that she needs. And I'm doing that. You know, so I'm waking up very early in the morning. I'm preparing the day for the hospital. I can prepare my busy day today, lectures, anything that I'm giving. But the time that she's waking up, I would take her to the kindergarten. I've done that during the corona with all around playground in Tel Aviv. You know what? People were
Everybody
looking
knows
at me.
that.
People were looking at me and were saying, okay, if Ronni is doing that, then it's okay, all according to the restriction and to the rules. But you know, this is a balance that you have to do. Also as a leader, also as one that spends 14 hours a day working within the hospitals and doing many, many missions for the Ministry of Health. You know what? I voted when Prime Minister Netanyahu called me this specific day, 22nd in July, and I didn't ask any questions. At the time, I knew that this is my mission, and you get along. You find the solution for that.
I think that part of the trust that the people had in you is the fact that you were normal in the sense that you were still a father, a husband, and you had a family, and you did things normally.
Cabinet meeting during playing in the playground.
Don't tell anyone. No, you just did. You just did.
Yeah.
Just to wrap this part up before we give it to Q&A, can you share like one story with us that is when you feel most humble, when you actually feel the importance of the work that you're doing?
You know what is? It was the. You know, it's so automatic coming out of me. 18 in October. 17 in October. It was Saturday. I was returning from Kfar Kara. It's Arab in the Galil. And it was the last day of the second lockdown in Israel. Right. And the achievement of the people of Israel was huge. It was during the Tishrei holidays. And we went down in numbers from 9,000 cases of corona a day to 800. And it was 5 p.m. and I was aiming to my house and I was saying, Ray, just a minute, we didn't say thank you to the people of Israel. So I'm calling my spokeswoman and I'm saying, Aviva, we didn't say thank you. She'll say, thank you for what? Thank you for the achievement. They have done a tremendous work for 5 weeks. I won the press conference in 1 hour. She was saying, Ronni, but it's Saturday, you know. They need to hear it when we are getting out of the lockdown. And we had a very quick press conference, and all I was saying is thank you. Thank you because you achieved something which is incredible. Incredible. It was the most successful second lockdown the entire world in a holiday, in the most sacred holidays of Israel. So this, I understood the value and the strength of the people of Israel.
That's fantastic, Ronni. Jody, I'm turning it over to you so you can give us you can let us know who has a question for Professor Gamzu.
Thank you. It was so beautiful, that story that you just shared. I got chills. I mean, really, we have so much that we can learn from you and everything you've done. And just want to thank you so much for all of your work and for being here and sharing your incredibly thoughtful approach to a complex pandemic. So one of the questions that we have is, how are you approaching those that are resistant to getting vaccinated? And at this point, what percentage of Israel is fully vaccinated?
The target population that is fully vaccinated is around reaching almost 80%, the target population, which is 16 and above. If you will take 50 and above or 55 and above, you will reach almost 90. But you know, the 16 to between 50, it's about 2/3 to 70%. People that resist vaccination. First, respect them. First, give them time. Second, give them time. Be humble. Don't fight them. Understand that you have diversity in people. Not all of them is Ronni Gamzu or a scientist or a physician. Give them time. Give them explanation, knowledge. Do that in a respectful way. And then give them tools, more and more tools, to understand that it's really working. Gradually, more and more will go into taking the vaccine. But if you fight them, if you do not respect the resistance, their hesitation, you are not liberal in your sense. In order for them to get along with you, they have to understand and they have to really show that you are authentic in your liberal way. Most of them will go along. And this is what I preached to my colleagues to practice. I vaccinated in 2012 1 million children for polio, which is an attenuated virus, attenuated, not messenger RNA, attenuated. Give them time, give them explanation, respect. They will go along.
Thank you. That's such good advice for all of us here too. So how long do you believe the vaccines will last, and will we be getting annual booster shots for quite some time? What are you thinking and finding in your own experience?
Okay. Nobody knows for 100%. I can tell with my own, kind of scientific analysis or understanding. Most of the vaccines last more than 12 months. When they were giving the time frame of 6 months, I was saying for sure you will not need a booster after 6 months. I really do not know such a vaccine that causes an immune response of less than 6 months. So I believe that it's going to last more than 12 months. We do not know that for sure. Mainly because it's the messenger RNA technology, it's a new one, and because it's a new virus. But if I have to make scientific calculation, I will gamble, which is not just incidental gamble, but my understanding, it's going to last more than 12 months. How?
Thank you, Professor.
How? We cannot tell, but I will not be surprised that it's going to last even for years.
Thank you, Professor Gamzu. So can you share a little bit more about how the vaccines are getting to the Palestinians?
Okay. Palestinians that have work permits inside Israel, which is more than 100,000, were vaccinated all around the country. My hospital gave lots of vaccine in many ways, in the passages between the Palestinian territories and Israel, we put on centers, stations that gave the vaccine. Allowing the vaccine to go for the Palestinian authorities beyond that, I would say I embrace that. I will recommend that, and I recommended that in a newspaper column that I wrote. But you know, it's a different question. Is the relationship between Israel and Palestinian territories authority? I would not say it's political or you know, an international issue or policy issue. It has some, you know, people have different opinions about that. But if I had the power, I would have transferred full vaccination for the entire Palestinian Authority, for the entire area, not also because I feel some responsibility, but because this is really running a public health issue, which you have to think geographically and not in state kind of thinking.
Thank you. When do you anticipate that children will become vaccinated?
I believe children between 12 to 16 years of age will be approved by the regulation authorities within few weeks, even any day. But then again, we will have to decide whether we will give the same strength of recommendation for children as we gave for the adults and for the elderly. And if we have to stick to sincerity and be truthful, it's a different case. It's a different case between the motives and the recommendation to vaccinate children and the adults. So I guess there will be a recommendation, and I guess it will be softer.
Thank you. And can you just briefly address the safety of children and infants in those social settings like schools, daycares, and the community centers?
To address what?
The safety.
The safety. Okay, in Israel, they are safe. I cannot say 100%, but I can say safe. Why? Because Israel, more or less, has a herd immunity. You do not see many infections among children, although they are unvaccinated. This means that the adults, the rate of vaccination in the adults creates an effect that protects I would say in a good way the children, not entirely, but it protects them. So in my view, even the crowded classes of Israel, children can be safe. I can say as well that we can go ahead with the next step of opening other gathering of children to let them be, you know, in cultural event, in other gatherings, shows as well. We created some kind of a herd immunity. And a child that is being, you know, infected by corona is a different case from an adult. And remember, the aim is not to get corona down to zero. This is not the aim. The aim is continue life and prevent overwhelming of the healthcare system.
So how much of a resistance to get vaccinated do you see in Israel?
You know, a minor one, a minor resistant, and we have tackled that from the first day, you know, even before that, before the 20th in December that we have started the plan, we have tackled that in a way. First, you have to put the opinion leaders, people like me, in front. And you know, they have to be in national TV, in the newspaper, on the digital, and having front to front. facing people, giving explanation, and even, counteracting the fake news phenomena with that. You have to work in that. You have to put a lot of efforts and do not say, okay, I don't have time for that. I'm running a hospital. Managers, people that are running the healthcare organization around the world have a huge and intense role in order to push the vaccination plan ahead. This is their role. My hospital, the Tel Aviv Medical Center, didn't have to do vaccination all around Tel Aviv and the nursing home of Tel Aviv, and to vaccinate all the diplomats and the people with illegal residence in Israel. Our task was to vaccinate only the staff, 8,000. We have vaccinated around 100,000. This is our task. And once we are doing it, once a hospital, so-called a leader like me, is leading the effort, people put their trust. Even people that have relative contraindication, taking drugs, taking immune-based drugs, people with all kinds of diseases, oncology diseases, that really hesitating, they approach me on the email. They approach the hospital. We have led them, many physicians, in order to interact with them and give them the trust, build their confidence in order to go ahead. We have to work in that. This is our obligation at this time.
So we know we have so much that we can learn from you, and we see the dire situation in South America, Europe, and especially India. How are you sharing expertise with these other countries and even the CDC here in the United States?
We have almost every day conversation with countries around the world. Only today I had with 2 countries. I've spoken yesterday with the ambassador in India and offered myself to do any kind of anything that they want, even to fly to India, anything. One of the failures of the world in the corona pandemic is not running it and managing it in a global way. The international communities failed. Even I would say WHO didn't do a perfect job. The European Union, other international organizations, we have to do informal. This is what I was doing all around the months. And sometimes when Israel was in crisis, I learned, understood what we are doing wrong. And we have exchanged data. And this is what I'm doing daily. Today I had a Zoom meeting with around 20 people from Germany running hospitals about the vaccination campaign, our strategy for reopening, what I'm thinking about the new mutation, and etc. So we are exchanging data. This is what we have to do still until it's all over.
It's remarkable. I mean, kol hakavod, beyond kol hakavod to all of you and the efforts that you're making to really combat this pandemic. It's been a very difficult year, and there's a light at the end of the tunnel, but only because of you. Michael, did you wanna say anything to wrap us up?
Yeah, I think, well, first of all, thank you, Professor Gamzu. Thank you, Ayelet, and thank you, Jewish Agency, because our hope at putting together today's program was to both foster more knowledge and understanding of the situation in Israel, and also to foster a sense of pride. And pride really is the right word that I'm looking for, that our brothers and sisters in Israel continue to lead the world with medical innovation, technology, social innovation. And so during this pandemic, to know that we can continue to learn from the lessons in Israel to benefit our own society, both in the Jewish community and beyond, is such a privilege. I know, Ella, you said, joy or, we're happy is not necessarily the right word sometimes to use, but privileged really to hear from you both and Professor Gamzu, because being 10,000 miles away, sometimes we don't feel the connection to what's going on in Israel, whether it's geopolitics, social, healthcare. And so it's really wonderful to hear from you. And it's a privilege. In a couple years, in just 2 years, we're planning a trip to Israel to celebrate Israel's 75th. And I know that we had circulated a video to Samantha. Samantha, are you able to control the playing of the video? Because we want to show it before we wrap up.
This is it, okay. Okay, oh, fantastic.
Stay with us a moment.
Welcome to Israel.
Welcome to Israel.
Welcome to Israel.
Welcome to Israel. Welcome to Sha'ar HaNegev.
Welcome home.
Welcome to Israel.
My very good friends from San Diego. We are here waiting impatiently to meet you here in Israel, here in Sha'ar HaNegev.
We have almost 10,000 people then waiting for you.
I look forward to welcoming you in Jerusalem.
See you soon.
Thank you, Samantha. Talk about light at the end of the tunnel. I think we're all looking forward to a time when we can travel safely and visit our family in Israel. It's both Israel's 75th in 2023 and the 25th anniversary of our partnership with Sha'ar HaNegev. So we are also just so proud of this relationship, both with all of the people of Israel and our friends in Sha'ar HaNegev. We just want to thank you for being here today. You'll learn more about this trip over the coming months. Professor Gamzu, Ayelet, Jewish Agency, our friends, thank you. Ophir, and we'll be in touch again soon. Thank you, everybody.
You're welcome to Tel Aviv Medical Center nearby.
You have an invitation. I was born in this hospital. All my children were born in Ichilov. So this is like extended family. So we would love to have you.
Well, I'm sure there will be interest in knowing what the post-COVID world looks like in Israel. And we hope to have several hundred members of our community joining us. So thank you both so much for the program today and for everything you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank
So
you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for being here. Thank you.
Yeah, good health.
Bye, everyone. Shabbat shalom.
Same to
Bye-bye, everyone.
you. Same to you. Good health.
Good health.